Glover, here it go. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Welcome to the show. Peace, family. The shadow illuminates from the soul. Knowledge itself, you probably sitting on a pot of gold. Tell me in the chat, you think we from Africa? Really though? The wrong perspective will cloud your judgment. I mean, somebody could tell you somebody you wasn't. Pay more homage and less worship. You tired of being a pushover than be assertive. Politics is just an old ancient secret circus. It get deeper the more you go in below the surface. You gotta learn to heal the trauma, be your own savior. My old earth gave me birth to God, one with nature. I'm an American Indian, fight for the rights of my native land. I'm an American Indian, fight for your rights, fight for your life. Eastern Shore, Mississippian, down by the river. Black man, red skin, bunch of Indian givers. Real side of Shakur, prisoners of the war. Return of the matriarch, the return of the God. East side, muddy water, we indigenous tribes. Black Wall Street, I run a family business of mine. Straight out the gutter, word the mother, high chief on the rise. They read the Bible translation, but ain't reading the scribe. Keep it G, Cherokee, Gullah Geechee the gang. You know how it is, everybody got beef with the king. Turtle Island, we steppin', can't let them kill our connection. You know the mind and the tongue be the deadliest weapons. I'm an American Indian, fight for the rights of my native land. I'm an American Indian, fight for your rights, fight for your life. I am a real American, fight for the rights of my native land. I am a real American, fight for your rights, fight for your life. Doni Glover, here it go. Like, share, comment, subscribe.
First name's Doni, last name's Glover. Entered to win it for the long haul, baby. Good evening. I want to begin tonight by giving honor to where it's due to our ancestors, to those who walked this land before us, who survived the storms, the ships, the laws, the lies, the lynchings, to the grandmothers and grandfathers who whispered truth in the dark when the world tried to silence them, to the ones who said, we were already here. We are living testimony. We are their living testimony. Every conversation we have on this Indigenous series is a tribute to their strength, their wisdom, their will to remember. Because memory is power, and reclaiming our story is how we honor theirs. So tonight, as we continue this journey of rediscovery of land, lineage, and legacy, we do so with gratitude. We do so in truth, and we do so in the spirit of those who never stop believing that their descendants would one day stand tall and say, we are still here. Got my brothers with me, all the way from East Baltimore, Mafia Shakur.
Peace, Mr. Glover. How you feeling?
I'm standing all the way from Detroit. Hannibal James, how are you, soldier?
Yeah, I'm okay. How y'all doing now?
All right. Harsh the Fourth.
Peace, my brothers.
Peace.
Peace, all.
All right.
And Planet Wells. How you doing, Planet Wells?
Excellent. Good to be here.
Planet
Good
Wells,
to see
we're gonna start
everybody.
with you. Can you start us off with prayer?
Well, let's see now. Prayer. The greatest prayer is stillness. All right. And reverence for life. So when you're in your domicile or apartment or house, and you're in the kitchen, and you come across a roach, right, running around. Well, in the kitchen, you might have a TV, or you might have whatever, refrigerator, or blender, or this, that, and the other. Well, the thing that you have the most in common with is the roach. Why? Because the roach is experiencing life, and the same spirit, the same omnipresent force or God, if you will, that created the life that's in the roach also created the life that's in you. So my prayer is to be humble for all living things and to continue your journey into the awareness of who's looking at it. Peace and blessings, all.
Peace, bro.
Peace, peace.
Wanted to share a little something before pass the ball to Mafia Shakur. 2 pieces. Here's one, and it's at the root of what we talk about. 100 amazing facts about the quote-unquote Negro. How many slaves landed in the U.S.? And long story short, 4 to 6% of the 10 to 12 million people came to America. 4 to 6%. That's about 388,000. Some say 750,000. But of the 11 million, 12 million that came across the water, a small percentage came to America. And it suggests to me that we were already here. Your thoughts, gentlemen?
That's what it looks like.
That's what the math says.
And so I got to tell you, we had a guest on last week, and we had some conversation today via text, and he was on this show, but he does not. He believes that we all come from Africa, okay. And he accused me of trying to essentially turn my back on the history that we have been taught for so many years. But this is a history that we were not taught, except in our own households. And so still today, just like in the chat, there's always going to be those who, and I don't negate it. I don't, when it was first posed to me that we possibly were already here, something I have considered. I didn't go all the way back to say how long we had been here. I mean, I know Luzia was found in Brazil 10, 12,000 years ago, but I think a big challenge is the media, because never do we hear in the media about Black Indians. But as the younger generation has gone forth and proven, there's so much evidence. There's evidence everywhere.
Sure is.
And I think the covering up the evidence is the greatest part. Like, it's right before our eyes, and then we still are dealing with the parallel mentalities, because we all was brought up in the system, but there are those of us who look outside the system for answers, and there are those who look to the system for answers. So if we came up in this educational system that has provided us a false education, and now we coming into this great awakening, and it's also going to be more misinformation that's predicated for those who still support that information.
And then here's the second piece. I wanted to bounce this off of Hannibal.
Yes, sir.
Hannibal, I'm not very versed on the Iroquois Confederacy, but I understand that it included 6 nations. The Iroquois Confederacy, also known as the Haudenosaunee, and I'm sure you're going to tell me how to better pronounce that, was a powerful Native American alliance of nations in what is now New York and Canada. Initially a union of 5 tribes: the Mohawk, the Oneida, the Onondaga, Cayuga, and Seneca. It became a league of 6 nations when the Tuscarora joined around 1722. And I got to tell you, in Harlem, there was a place called Seneca Village.
Yes, sir.
In between 82nd and 89th Street, that was black town, a black area, black property, and that was taken up in between 82nd and 89th. It was snatched up by the city of New York to further build, what do you call it, Central Park.
So what I'm seeing, Donnie, is this, that it was more nations within the Iroquois nation. So you see them right there as the Haudenosaunee. That's the governmental. Well, I ain't gonna say governmental part. These are the people or the tribes that allied with the settlers. So you had other tribes like the Susquehannock. You had like you said, the Tuscarora. You had the Meherrin. You had the Nottoway. You had the Erie. You had the Massawamak, and you had the Conestoga, and all these tribes had their own land, and that 5 Haudenosaunee, they started encroaching on their land. This is like what started the so-called Beaver Wars between the natives. So these Haudenosaunee tribes wanted to take their land, in which they did, and they pushed these tribes southward, where they was going south and they was going west to the Algonquin tribes like the Shawnee. And as they still progressing, they still fighting, they were still moving southward. So me and Shakur was talking today. I see that the Shawnee took these tribes like the Susquehannock, the Meherrin, the Nottoway, the Erie, because in Michigan we got the Erie too. And they absorbed these tribes within their nation. And these tribes moved south. That's where you got them in Georgia, like Savannah, Georgia. That means Shawnee. And that's how these tribes up in Maryland and Virginia, they start amalgamating down into the Creek Nation. So that's what I'm seeing that they came down with the Shawnee and the Yuchi. So that's where I'm at with it, Donnie.
Good deal. Hello in the chat, Michelle, Jackie, Tahonga, homeboy Anthony Williams, Michael Randolph, homeboy down in Florida, originally from Baltimore. Mafia, talk to me.
Yeah, and that's the greater understanding is that the Iroquois Confederacy are the allies to the colonizers. So this is where we get the mixture of the bloodlines. Also, we get the mixture of the surnames and the mixing of the tribes. That's in New York all the way down to the south. So we starting from what's that? Was that the Spanish, right? The Spanish was coming from the south, so it kind of pinned the Maryland and the Virginia tribes into a corner, from the colonizers coming down from New York and boxed us in the Maryland tribes.
So it was tough back then, like he was saying, like the Spanish was coming up from the south, the Iroquois was pushing from the north down south, so they had no other way but to break southwest and the travel and amalgamate with the tribes there and come down south. So that's what I'm saying. You will see within the Creek Nation, if people start looking, you'll see that the Shawnee were there. That the word Savannah means Shawnee when you start going into the language. So this is what we have to start understanding. You'll start being able to track your family into certain places in the South, especially if you come from Maryland and Virginia, and then you start seeing your family in North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia. Then you'll start getting a understanding why. So this is just one part of the puzzle that we got to see.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because once you trace this Iroquois Confederacy, you will see the migration of the Englishmen in your bloodline. Once you're doing your genealogy, you'll be able to see this Confederacy mixing in with the natives because they had allies with the settlers. Now they already had communication with the natives on the land because they was already in trade and they was already at war with each other for certain instances. And over time, like I say, it was the Indian-French War. All these wars that transpired up until a certain time, it just, the Iroquois Confederacy grew over time to outlaw all these other tribes, along with the colonizers and the War of the Seven Nations with the Dutch, the Portuguese, the Spanish, and the English as well.
You know, I also think that a lot of times when we hear these stories about how these tribes were warring against each other, or how one tribe was trying to take over the territory of another tribe, et cetera, these were during the times when they were allying with the enemy.
Yes.
And the stories that we get, it always makes it look like, you know, we were always at each other's necks. You know, just how they do now today. You know, they try to man, oh, you know, those guys over there against those guys over there, where there's an enemy that is instigating the whole situation. And then when we get the backstory, it just looks like, man, we always were enemies with one another. That wasn't the case before they got here.
Yes, sir. That's why I was saying the integration, because we was already in the trade with each other. We was already, certain people had trade passes, or whether when you got to the proprietors that came over, like Lord Baltimore and those type of guys, when they came over, they had what they called planters. They called us planters, and they had other people who was already just mixing with the bloodlines, so that in the next generation they could have ownership rights to whatever was going on, whether it's the family land or whatever the family owned.
Yeah, I want to. I seen a comment where someone say that the Nottoway is in Virginia. I understand that when people think about these tribes, you see a tribe, but you got to understand the tribe is made up of clans, and these clans is made up of mothers. So you might have a certain group of mothers there, but these other mothers don't went and amalgamated with someone else amongst the other tribes. You get what I mean? So it's deeper than just saying, well, you got one group of people saying, well, I'm Nottoway. It was several clans that sat there and make up the Nottoway. This is just the remnant. You get what I mean? Just what was left over. You get what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to also share this with Horace. The discussion I had earlier today also touched on the pyramids. And
was that Bosnia?
This one right here?
Mm-hmm.
No, I want to finish telling you the story. So the guy who was on the show, I'll leave his name out. He said that I ignored, or that we ignored, the fact that Africa had mound pyramids too. Now there are mound pyramids in Africa, but this one is actually called Gunung Padang, and it's in Indonesia, and this one is 25,000 years old. Oh, well, let me change that. It's they got a range for it. They said as old as 25,000 years, so 16 to 27,000 years old.
Yeah, when they get those numbers, I would multiply that probably times 16. Mm-hmm. You know, just because. But yeah, that's amazing. That's in Indonesia. Okay.
And this is from this for you in particular, Hannibal. Tahonga said, you're right, because the Nottoway of Virginia are not that big, and their territory was very small. Okay. We have a very talented panel. Let me tell you, I have a special. Oh! My bad. Horace, you wanna present something?
Yes, sir.
And again, this picture is Gunung Padang in Indonesia. We got a special guest joining us tonight, but I'll bring him in when you finish, Horace. You ready?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, so you all can see the Iroquois land right there. I sent that in the group chat, but this is right in Chicago, you know, on the south side. So that 65 exit 65 is where the pyramids are that I've been sharing, the ones that's up in Chicago that, you know, the people riding past and thinking they landfills. So over in that area, It's probably, I want to just say a small number, maybe about 10 pyramids. But they right there for everybody to see. But people have been so brainwashed that they ride past them without even considering them, which I have been guilty my whole life as well. But I just wanted to present that, man. Also got another a sister sent me from down in Atlanta showing one of the pyramids that's right there in Atlanta that I was discussing with the brother Morocco when he was on the show. And the street is called Seminole Street or something like that. And then it says Seminole.
My bad.
Landfill.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, so we got a special guest tonight. He's actually been on the show before. One more for you, Hannibal. This from Tahonga. You're either Saponi, Powhatan, and he corrected me, Powhatan, or Cherokee in Virginia. The Iroquois are here, but they are a small group. I think my pronunciation is getting better, Tahonga. But next up is a special guest, Mr. Avon Bellamy. He's been on this show before. Y'all remember Mr. Bellamy?
Yes, sir.
Peace, my brother.
Howdy.
So, how you been, Mr. Bellamy?
I've been all right. Keeping busy.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Bellamy is an author. Have you ever met these gentlemen before?
I'm not quite sure. I can't.
Can't make out everybody. Well, gentlemen, introduce yourselves.
I'm dealing with teeny vision here.
Okay.
Yes, sir. I'm Mafia Shakur from Baltimore.
Hey, I'm Hannibal James from Detroit.
I'm Horace Lee IV from Chicago.
Planet Wells from Hawaii.
Oh, well, y'all covered the map, haven't they?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Tell them who you are.
I'm Avon Bellamy from Baltimore.
Yes, sir. Nice to meet you, sir.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm a long-term resident of Baltimore. Now I'm being cast as a writer. I used to raise what they call good trouble in the city when I was younger. I'm a grandfather now with 6 kids, 6 grandkids, and 4 kids. And I'm still being productive. I just finished my life story in one sense, and my novel that's a spy story, actually, The Brotherhood of the Silent Hand, is being pushed, and a very good job of it being pushed by wordslogosmedia.com. The people there have done an excellent job as far as I'm concerned. They learn how to merge AI with the publishing of books, and so they're looking to be able to turn the book into a film, and they've done a pretty good job. And in fact, I don't know if Donnie, I don't know, have you shown the piece that I sent you?
I just want to let you know, first of all, Mr. Bellamy, we're gonna plug your book, but we on here talking about this indigenous thing for a minute.
Okay. Well, we can get out of that. I'm I think a 8th part Cherokee, so we can do that.
Okay.
You part Cherokee. Did anybody tell you Indian stories growing up?
No, but I had an affinity for it even when I was a little kid and didn't know why. My father used to draw me, because I would always be asking him to draw me pictures of Indians. I had no idea that I had Indian heritage at the time. I was a kid, 4, 5, 6 years old.
That's right. So would you say that you have an affinity for Africa as well? Or how was that relationship between your affinity for Indian and Africa?
Affinity. Let's get them right now. Yes, sir.
any affinity I had for Africa came as a result of study.
So was it? Would you say it was your own studies, or because we went to school, or we learned that in school?
No, it was my own studies. They didn't
Okay.
teach us anything about Africa in school.
I understand.
You know, not anything real anyway.
Mm.
No, I did my own studies and delved into the heritage.
Let me give you something that I know you are familiar with. You got that book by you?
Which one?
Or the one you read the most?
Oh, yeah, it's right here.
What did Deuteronomy 28 say about us? Is that about us?
A lot of people believe it is about us.
What do
But
you believe?
I haven't studied it like that to form a belief one way or another. You know, my understanding is those who have engaged in a sincere study of the Bible, that you know it's African in nature, makes perfect sense when the person that we describe as the Christ is presented as having woolly hair and feet that look like burnt brass, which we know turns into blackness. So all of the things that I was taught about the Bible, all the characters were black men, not white men.
One other thing I want to bounce off.
And that was being home trained, because my father, grandfather, and all the men in my family received it that way, that the Bible was written by black men and that black men was the main characters within it from beginning to end. So I never grew up with the idea that Jesus was a white man or that anybody in that Bible was.
Right.
That part was taught to me. The Indian part wasn't. I found that out later when I started listening to the stories that my uncles and aunts were talking about. And then I realized that, you know, that I was a part of the Cherokee Nation.
Yeah,
I was in my teen years when I found that out.
Good, Hannibal.
What state your Bellamy family from? 'Cause I see the attachment with the Bellamys to the Cherokee Nation. Where your family was from?
Mostly in the Carolinas and Virginia.
Yeah. Yeah. So what kind of stories did you hear about your connection? What kind of stories your family said about your that you guys had with the Cherokee?
Well, my grandmother was supposed to be full-blooded Cherokee. Her father was too, and actually fought in the Civil War.
Mm. Do you remember?
Found out later that the Cherokees held slaves. I didn't know that until after the fact. But
yeah, it was just like I was trying to explain that it was several types of bands within the Cherokees. Like the Cherokees got like 5 bands within.
Yeah, right. Mm-hmm.
So you know, some of them lined up. Then you had them. Some of them amalgamate. Like you had Europeans blending in. Then you had the Scottish mix, and these were the ones that was trying to get like status within this European paradigm, and they started negotiating on behalf of the tribes, and then they started selling out. Because if you look up, if you ever get some time in the audience, get some time, look up a guy named Junaluska, Junaluska. He's a Cherokee from North Carolina. He's the one who teamed up with Andrew Jackson. But that's a good history. So you know that in, I think in Virginia's, North Carolina is the Eastern Band of Cherokees that's over that way. And that's you might have some family attached to that band right there. That's that group that's there.
More than likely, you know, one time when I was working for the state, I had the opportunity to talk to a gentleman who was then the director for the Indian Bureau for Maryland. I can't remember his name now. And I was trying to just find out a little information and gave him my grandfather's name. My grandfather was Washington Taylor. And he told me that Taylor was definitely one of the names that the Cherokee had in that region. Taylor was one of those names.
You know what? And I do a lot of studying, and my cousin is a Taylor. So I know that the Taylors descend from Amatoya Moitoy. That was his name, Chief of Tellico. So that's, if you ever heard of this guy, he's a Cherokee. That was the first Cherokee they ever met back in the 1600s. Amatoya Moitoy, Moytoy.
Mm-hmm.
So he got like 5 killer descends from him. Doublehead, Oskanosta, several ones of them that descends from this guy here. So that's that. When you said that Taylor name, that sent me straight to the Moytoy family, right there in Tennessee, right there in North Carolina.
Right.
That's deep.
That's an interesting history that you got. I see Donnie bringing up the Bible. He brought up Deuteronomy 28, and you know it all depends on how studied the people is and people belief system. Some people detach themselves from certain things, but like it's one book that really got me kind of baffled. It's called Lost Tribes and Promised Lands, and it talks about the exploration from Hispaniola up into Florida or South Carolina, and they met this Francisco de Chicora guy, or the Chicora, and they took him back over to Spain, and he explained to them that he was from these tribes of Israel, and this what Ferdinand and Isabella supposedly documented. So it's all types of conjecture that can lead you certain ways, but I be trying to stay focused on the history here, the history of, because it is some facts, this what it's people got to see what their tribe was doing to make their own decisions about these things. But back to your part, Moytoy is a good thing, a good place to start.
I'll keep
So
that in mind.
Is it safe to say that all the tribes kind of have a mixture?
Yeah. They basically all do. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
So my question is, when did the mixing start though?
I don't know. That's one thing I haven't pinpointed. I haven't, and then it's to say mixing that's a conundrum to say that, because we was all across the planet. You get what I mean? So it's like coming back to the same thing, the same people coming back together. You get what I mean?
Well, see, I think that I think that the real question is if there was a period of time when the entire planet was melanated.
Seems so.
Then where did these other people come from to quote unquote start the mixing process? What did they just pop out of nowhere? Where did they come from? Because if you have a just say a bowl of black liquid, then all of a sudden you say, oh well, we're mixing. Well, where did anything come from to mix if the bowl was black from the beginning?
Have you ever heard of the mitochondrial DNA?
Well, yeah, I mean that's dealing with what's starting from Tiamat and the daughters of Tiamat, who we know are our melanated sisters on the planet.
Well, I'm talking about Eve, because they've traced all lineage back to her womb.
Yeah, well,
yeah, they've done this scientifically. So, and
yeah,
they've done it in more than one culture. And the black woman's womb has been able to produce every other race that we see called the race. It's still the human race.
Well, yeah, I mean, and that's understood when it comes to, the ability to produce an albino. So now, even with that scientific argument being on the table, how did she wasn't just popping out albinos to the point that they would overpopulate, a certain geographical location. So, okay, yeah, it can be traced back, but when you have a deliberate or designated a geographical location where these particular people exist at, how did they get there? The black woman was just popping out hybrid albino babies left and right. That's not how nature works.
I don't get in these kind of arguments, brother.
Well, no,
I'm just telling you where the DNA occurs. Even the Chinese tried to disprove it, and what they found was their DNA came straight out of Africa, right along with every other DNA came out of Africa. And then what happened after that? People moving, going in different directions, etc., may have created what you're talking about.
And the comment that was just in the chats about the genetic mutation from the Dravidians is pretty much on point when it comes to the creation of this current group of people that's on the planet. But a mutation is a natural phenomenon. Things mutate out of natural, that's just how things do. They mutate. Spuds mutate out of potatoes, et cetera, et cetera. But a mutation in regards to a group of people that's pretty much scientifically impossible unless they had to be placed somewhere, and the mutation process actually took place deliberately.
And that's when we get into Jacob from the Bible, which is Yakub, and we get into the grafting, and we get into that aspect of what was really going on from a biblical or spiritual aspect of the so-called genetic mutation. And like how we was talking about them being left and trapped behind the ice and not having no way to survive for however long it was. It's like how we are a natural people and we live in nature. Those people felt that nature was against them, and everything that we love about the trees and the water and the sun and the rain, they hate the same things that we love because the earth was designed against them in this cold, icy atmosphere where they had to eat each other and eat their kids and eat their elders and do all these vampiric things.
Yeah, well, that's a discussion that is deep, because then when we get back to the original conversation on the mixing and then the different elements within certain tribes, so this process is deep, because whatever it is, it's like a weed in the amongst the beautiful flowers that seemingly has become a problem and is at war with nature.
And we are nature. We are nature. I think that's the. I had to remind someone today. Like, I think we forget that the earth is alive because we so much in our vessels and living
There
as
you go.
organisms. We forget that the earth is alive. We inside of something that is life.
True indeed.
And we take so much control and purpose over our own vessel that we not a part of the collective universe as a total.
So maybe that's why we are such a problem to a group of people who are at war with nature, because if we are the cream of nature, then it would only be right for those who feel like nature is against them to be at war with the cream of nature.
So
it's just a question. Yeah.
Let me ask you this: where do you see humanity going?
Well,
I think say again, Donnie. What was the question?
Where do you see humanity going?
Okay.
Well, I think that when humanity is in the hands of monkeys, then it could only go in the direction of monkey business.
Mr. Bellamy, where are we going as a human species?
I got no clue. We can either evolve further along our spiritual path, if some of us find even what that is, because sometimes we blend religion with spirit, and that don't work. Religion has a whole entire
Absolutely.
different bundle to carry. But
Yes,
if we
sir.
just go with the spiritual route, we are evolving already. I mean, we're actually at, some of us anyway, at different levels of what they consider to be vibration, waves, etc. Mental waves, all of that. All of these things play a part in the development of a human being. And it depends on what you're going to focus on and how you're going to focus on it, what kind of human being you're going to be.
True.
And so we all have the right to be whatever it is we want to be, to tell you the real truth.
Mhm.
Whatever we want to be, we can design our own self to be it. But it's, you know, what's your humanity going to do? What is the highest vibration, which is love? What is that going to produce in you? And whether it's even going to be able to produce anything in you, because based on your attitudes and especially negativity, you'll never be able to get where the human race is supposed to be going to.
I wanted to put this out there that it has been said, even by this president, that Black children are violent. Don Lemon recently came to Baltimore. I want to circle back on that just one more time. And he raised the question, because I really have a good answer this time, Mafia. He raised the question, should the president send federal troops to Baltimore?
Yeah.
And Don Lemon went on to say, I told him, I said, if anything, we need markets. You want to send something, help us build some markets here.
If he want to send federal troops somewhere to stop crime, he need to send it to the White House.
Well, I'm getting there. So Don Lemon went on to say, well, it's hard to get markets to come to neighborhoods like this because there's so much violence.
The most violent people on this planet is the white man. Every category of crime that you can mention, and I don't care what category of crime you do mention, that's who's going to be in the lead of it. And that is statistically true.
But
So
you got
numbers.
So
next category.
and-
White
and-
men are the most violent, dependent, treacherous, thieving individuals on this planet, in this particular country and every place else they've ever shown up. And that's the truth. That's what their history shows you.
Well, one thing I would remind us is that because I was thinking about this, because the word Aboriginal comes up, and, you know, and I was looking in my own personal history, and I said, now where did I hear that? Where did I originally hear that associated? And it was Australia.
Right.
And Australia was, in fact, a dark melanated continent, right? As well as Tasmania and New Zealand area, all of that, right? And the invaders, I'm going to call them the invader
Because that's what they
colonists,
were.
tried to remove, right, the entire continent's people off the planet. Okay. They had they prided themselves with having the last Tasmanian in London, okay, for people to come and see. Okay, so obviously there are various frequencies on this planet, and some have, one could say they haven't evolved, or one could say there is some type of you know, I've always felt that racism and white supremacy should be classified as a mental illness.
It
Damn
is.
right.
A severe mental illness.
It is. It is already classified. They just hide that. They hide the fact that that happened. They classified it as a mental illness back in the 50s. But they aimed it at children and not adults. That's how they try to get out of it. But it is a severe, murderous contortion of the human spirit.
Yeah, I'm waiting for them to have ads on television, so people could get some help or take a blue pill or whatever to relate to the sickness.
Yeah,
clearly.
It's a constructed sickness.
Absolutely.
What's my brother name here on the panel, I guess, today?
Avon Bellamy.
Okay, Mr. Bellamy.
That's my big brother, by the way. Legendary in the streets of Baltimore.
Yes, I appreciate that, man, and I appreciate your input and more than you can imagine, and because what you're saying is completely accurate. I wanted to read something in regards to something that you had said, and the statement that you made I sort of forgot it, but as soon as you said it, I went to something that I wanted to read, that I wanted the panel and our guests to hear. And it says that there's presently occurring a space-time overlap with a higher evolution, so the Earth's solar system enters an electromagnetic null zone, a vacuum area in space which will change the magnetic forces of creation. The change of the electromagnetic density in the Earth's atmosphere will activate some species to become more violent and other species more Christ-like, as man is pulled either into an upward spiral of light or negated by the breakdown of the old electromagnetic frequency.
That's accurate as far as I'm concerned.
I agree.
Because it's spiritually going on. I don't care how nasty it gets. What you see, the nastiness is all about trying to dissuade that from coming into manifestation. It's already in manifestation. You can't throw it out. It's already here.
Yeah.
Some of the most evolved people on the planet are melanated people, and there's a reason for that. Right. Because in the melanin, in that very seed is the very seed of intelligence. Is located in melanin. Mm-hmm. When they did certain genetic studies across the planet, and they started with primates because they wanted to make this, clear. And they were talking about what species, whatever, had the most potential for genius. And they started with the primates. Primates had 4, 5. It got to the Europeans that had 6. It got to Africa and the places where we were harvested from. That's what I call it. They harvested us from our homelands and brought us over here. But that area had a 9-degree certainty for producing genius. Genetically doing that. Now, go look at all of the stuff that's been invented in this country. I listened to this ignorant president run a list of stuff off, not long ago, a couple of weeks ago, about all of the things that he thought white Americans had invented. And everything on that list, a black man invented or a black woman.
Everything.
We are an amazingly constructed people and don't know it. Our problem is we don't know who we are. When that's a result. A super race, he didn't realize the super race wasn't white, and he was never going to make it that. But that's what he was trying to do with the Germans. The super race was already here. It was us. True stories. All of the stuff that we've been through just made us top of the crop. That's why every single time they open the door and allow us anywhere near what is in that room that they've been keeping the door closed to, we will always emerge and come to the top. That's why they don't want to open any of the doors.
I think
because
also
they know this about us. They've scientifically studied us and know that.
Yeah,
But we don't.
I think that that this group of people who seem to be a problem were initially misled by another group of people to become the people that they are now. Because
Absolutely.
if we would have been the ones to lead them, they wouldn't be like that. So now, due to the fact that they had government and police systems and these guns and these means to go around the world murdering people, their degree of arrogance supersedes them. But in their hearts, they know that they aren't superior, and they come to that recognition every day when they look in the mirror. So they have to have, they have to have a systemic validation of their superiority, but they know that when it comes to dealing with Mother Nature, that they're nowhere near being superior. But I think that we have been put into a position, by their arrogance and their kill mongering, that we try to pick the fallacies within them as a group of people, which is, of course, is natural. Hey, if you slap me and I can't catch you, I'm gonna slap your brother. But I think that if they would just sit back and let the gods and the goddesses of the planet lead, everybody would be okay.
Everybody would be under those circumstances.
Yeah.
But you have an aberrant people here in the midst, and that aberrance doesn't allow them to feel safe, because they already know that their seed is not strong enough to sustain them as a separate body of people. They already know, their science tells them that. That's why they absolutely have to mingle with us. They didn't mingle with us, they wouldn't be here at all. And they know this. This is not something that they don't know. They scientifically know what I'm saying. Right. And when you get to the real racists, they will tell you that, because they know that's true. That's why they don't want no intermingling, because their seed is dying out. And they know their seed is dying out. Do you realize that there are certain of these European nations that actually bring Africans into their nation so they can procreate with their women to keep them being able to deduce? Because we are the original. No, really, we are the original that everything else has come from. So it's like anything else. If you have an original and you make a copy of the original and you move the original out the way and you just keep making copies off of the copy, what will end up happening is you'll just have a white sheet with nothing on it. And that's exactly what's happening to white people in this country. They better have some relationship with dark people, or they wouldn't be here at all. They're a recessive gene. They're not a dominant gene. We are the dominant gene.
But it's not just the white people. It's not just the pale faces, though. That's where I think the confusion comes in, because the power struggle that we deal with in America with racism is about the pale faces that we see. But we're not talking about the Black Europeans or the Africans. Like it makes me wonder, like, why are they insisting on calling us African Americans if we know that we Indians? You know what I'm saying? Why do they want to call us Black or all of these things? Because if we look at history, and every conqueror has conquered the people and named the people and named the land, and they calling us African Americans, I think this is telling us something, because they have to show us everything without telling us what it is. So we still have to look at, it's deeper than just the race aspect. Racism was a mechanism to divide the mixture of the bloodlines. We still dealing with the history of what happened and what transpired in America. But like Horace said, these people was put in place to do these injustices and things of that sort, because they was under the same victimization of these same people that we talking about.
These melanated devils who have been hiding behind them all of this time.
So this is what I conclude, that everybody on here agrees that we are originals.
Yes.
Without a
What
shadow
we
of a
do
doubt.
not necessarily agree on is the Africa connection.
Yes, sir.
Some buy into it, some don't. But we all agree that we are the original. And I'm
Yes,
good
sir.
with that. I'm good
Yes,
with
I'm
sir.
good with, look,
Yeah,
like,
nah.
I understand fully that before the Inca was here or any of them, they had the Olmec heads, which nobody can tell you anything about those heads. But it's clear as a bell that those heads are of African men.
Well, let
And
me
they've
ask you a
been here
question.
longer than anybody called an Indian that we know about. Those heads right there have been
is
here
there a
longer than
possibility?
anybody that we know of called an Indian. Now,
But
whether they're African or Indian, I can't get to that. I can't argue on them basis because I don't have enough information to be able to go one way or another. All I got to say is those heads was here long before the Inca, the Aztec, and the Mayan, who are called Indians.
No, we agree with you, definitely.
Okay.
see the term Indian, when it's being used in the context that mafia and we use on the panel, we know that is a misrepresentation, but we use that in layman's terms. We
Right.
know that we're not Indians,
Okay.
But
but
let
we
me
just
tell you
use
something.
that. Yeah.
Let me tell you something that has not been clarified in the chat or on this show is the connection to the Hebrew. Because I've heard on this show people say that we know we are Hebrew because of fringes. And that's those like string like items that come from the sleeves on
Right.
fringes. That's my understanding. Who told me that? It's been stated on this show. So let me share this. I'm going to put the link in the chat because what I don't want to do is go back and forth. If you have a comment, we welcome you. Indigenous Black Man, Thunderstone, Raphael, we welcome you to come on the show.
Can I say something, Donnie?
Please do, big brother.
I think that people need to look at like the Muskogee. We had the Green Corn Fest dance, and you had these festivals or these certain type of I don't even know how to call them, these spiritual events that happen at certain times on the equinox and stuff like that. I think people need to it's not simple as just saying this is that. You gotta do your due diligence and study, you know what I'm saying, to show yourself approved. I was sitting back and you said a comment and I couldn't let it sit back. It's like with us, we don't never take the lead. You know what I'm saying? Why? Who? Like you said about the guy coming to Baltimore and bringing this supermarket or whatever there. Why can't we build our own? This is if we talking about we indigenous. Why we talking about somebody else bringing some stuff? It's time right now. If we indigenous, let's be indigenous.
That was a response to Trump. He said he wanted to send troops. I said if you want to send something, send some groceries, send some help with some markets. Don't send the troops. That was the crux. That's where it all started. We don't need the troops. You want to send us something we need. That's where that came from.
Well, we got a lot of black farmers that can take care of that. In fact, they better qualify to take care of it now than the white farmers. Because the white farmers,
come on, bring it on.
The white farmers are losing their farms messing around with Trump.
Yeah.
And because the black farmers never got the subsidies that the white farmers got, they learned how to make it without it. So now they're going to make it. And those white farmers are not going to have a prayer because they was given everything. So, I know people that have been working. I know some ministers that are doing that, working on this whole thing about collective farming in neighborhoods, teaching people how to cook the food that they raise. Some years back, I was dealing with a group of ministers and farmers with the Black Farmers Association, etc., trying to establish a hub right here in Baltimore. But unfortunately, the pandemic struck, and one of the lead people who was going to be a major part of that ended up dying during the pandemic. But the clearness of we are going to band together, and it's not like we haven't done it before. You know, the thing is that we did this stuff more than 100 years ago, and we were extremely successful when we did it. That's the other part.
And so
We had
Hannibal,
188 city states that we ran, and every
Hannibal, I just
single one
wanted to
of them that
say,
was successful got interfered with.
Hannibal, I just wanted to share with you, we have done our own in this country.
Right, exactly.
Including Tulsa's Black Wall Street, which was bombed from the air in a plane and burned to the ground. So self-sufficiency is not something new to us.
Yeah.
Texas, East Texas alone had 500 black towns. Oklahoma had 70 to 80. We've been self-sufficient.
Right.
But then these cats next door are jealous.
That's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what happened with the. They either did it with the bullet or the ballot.
I think we just beating through the ways to reestablish the same things that we have experienced in previous generations or previous times. We just, as the world has changed and evolved in certain ways, we and through what's necessary to bring that unit back together.
Well, you got to realize that they spend a lot of time seeing that we don't. They interfere. They took over our educational system just to prevent us from doing some of the things that we did when we was outside of theirs. You know,
but that's why
they took over ours. They disqualified us. I'll give you some perfect examples because some of you probably know this anyway. When they were trying to make us believe that we were incapable of doing certain things during World War II, and I'm only using that because of the band of brothers that came together that called the Red Tails. When those men from Howard University and those other black institutions formed that group, they had to take the armed services tests for aviation, and they scored extremely high on the tests. When they saw how high they scored on the test, they thought that the black proctors had cheated and helped them cheat. So they had sent white proctors in and retested every single one of those black men. They did better on the second test. Right here, at Coppin State, now it's university, but it was college then. At Coppin State College nursing program, the nurses there was outscoring Hopkins, was outscoring University of Maryland nurses on those tests. And they thought that, Coppin was teaching them to take the tests and not actually, do what they were doing. And so, again, they came and retested them, and they did better the second time. When they start having too many of those experiences, the first thing they wanted to do was to let us start going to school with them. And when we went to school with them, we came into an environment that reduced us immediately. They made us feel like we didn't belong there, that they were smarter than us, the whole bit. I had it happen, so I know what happened. I was in one of the first groups of people who integrated schools in Baltimore. And that was the best thing to happen to me, because I was in class with white kids and found out exactly how smart I was. Because I saw how much smarter I was than a lot of those white kids. Because they was doing everything to keep me from really learning. The teachers wouldn't even answer a question if my hand was up. I had to wait and see if a white kid had that question so I could get it answered. And I still passed. So it's a matter of understanding that we have the tools to do it all, but they keep creating situations that interfere with our ability to keep telling our stories generation after generation after generation, because that's the way people keep themselves in the pocket. They have their stories to tell. Every 50 to 55 years, we find ourselves going through the exact same thing we went through 50 or 55 years before that. There's a cycle to this stuff that goes all the way back into the 1850s. I know this stuff is there because I pay attention.
Yeah.
You got a man in 1852, Frederick Douglass, in 1852, is making a speech on the 4th of July. Actually, it was on the 3rd of July, but it was for the 4th of July. He's making a speech now. And I happened to see on the wall an excerpt from that speech in the 60s and thought it was Malcolm X. And kept hearing inside myself, look and see who made the speech. I kept saying, yeah, I know, that's Malcolm X. I read it, and it was Frederick Douglass in 1852, talking about the exact same thing we sitting around here in 2025 talking about. Go read his speech.
Yeah,
That'll tell
it's
you
a,
the
it's a
site.
programming. It's a programming. Everything.
Absolutely.
If you see the programming, you can see the signs. You can see the continuations. This is why certain people rise at certain times, because they have the intuitiveness to understand what their purpose is. So it's like, if we know that they keep programming us with certain information and doing this, we have to not focus on that. We have to just continue to do what we doing to be able
Listen
to
to me,
pass
brother.
the information on. You know what I'm
Listen
saying?
to
It's
me
like,
now. Listen to me. They
yes,
do
sir.
it 24/7, 365, because they do it with newspapers. When they had them, they don't even use that anymore. Now they
Yes,
do
sir.
it with everything that you can think of called a piece of news, everything that you're going to learn in a white institution, and all of them are white, even when black people are running them, because they got the same information up. And they don't accept it if it's not their information that they're trying to grade you on, etc. So they got the game to a place where if we don't have a school or a newspaper or a television station or anything that can give us daily our version of anything, that's the version that our kids are going to pick up on and hear and respond to. I'm old man now, so I've learned a whole bunch of stuff doing this. So I can see the patterns clearer than somebody's going to see it. I didn't even see the patterns this clear when I was 40 years old, but I see how clear the patterns are. I was discovering things then. Anytime they got our kids to the point where they don't want to go to school, that right there should tell you what kind of situation we find ourselves in, because our kids don't even want to listen to what we're telling them. That's a true story. And that's the thing that we need to change. We need to find a way to change that.
So how can we? So
Well,
is there
have our
a
own.
way?
Look, I don't have a problem with what this white man is doing. I'm glad he's doing this mess, because we need to take the responsibility for doing for ourselves. And this is a perfect time to do it, because they took all the money. Great. I don't have a problem with them taking it. Take it so that we can go do what we need to do. Because if you're looking for anything in this nation to help you be anything that you're talking about now or I'm talking about now, you're going to take that responsibility upon yourself, because you're not going to have anything outside of you doing that.
Yeah, that leads into my next question. So how can we create this narrative for our future generations on what we're doing now to start this idea that you suggest?
Well, we've done it. What I'm trying to tell you is we've already done it.
Okay.
We've done it 100 and some years ago. And the reason that we were able to do it 100 and some years ago is because we knew who the enemy was. So we had no affiliation with that.
But can I reframe it?
We made our own schools.
I just want to reframe it. I just want to reframe it real quick. So how can we make the younger generation realize the strives and the accomplishments we made on this path, because they don't see it?
No, you know, they don't see it. And they need somebody to tell them. That nobody's telling them in school. They ain't going to get it in school. You know, when I did stuff like this, and this is just me, I had an opportunity of doing it because I was inside of a system and I could do what I wanted to do in that system. And what I did was trained a bunch of kids to understand who they were.
Yeah.
I just took their stuff and did it. The kids that they gave me in 2 of the programs that I worked with were low performers that had either been thrown out of school have been through the criminal justice system as juveniles, etc. And they gave me these kids with 2nd and 3rd grade reading levels.
Mr.
And
Bellamy,
in a
Tia
year,
Bellamy says she's your child and she listens to you.
oh, and in a year's time, I had taken those kids, and they had not me raised it. They'd raised their reading levels so significantly until they questioned whether or not there was some cheating going on, and they came down and tested them when I wasn't there. They tested them to see if what I was telling them was a factual thing. Now, what they missed was how I did it. Number one, I loved the kids. Number two, I never made one of them feel like they didn't have some worth and some use, because my job was to find out what their worth and use was. I had to be with them in order to do that. I couldn't, be on the side. And so what I did was I taught those kids how to become successful by showing them that people who look just like them were successful, and this is how they became successful. Now, when those kids realized that they could be successful, I still remember John Crew, who was then the superintendent of schools for Baltimore City, came to a little low-level program that I was running, because of the stuff that was coming out of it was showing that he could not believe. He thought we was down there cheating too. So he came personally to the program that I was running. The kids took him around and explained the program to him, and he didn't know it. He thought it was my staff. So when he came back to my office, he said, well, I talked to your staff. Now I want to see some of your students. I told him, you've been talking to students ever since you've been here, sir. And he didn't believe me and went and got all those kids back and found out everything that had happened with them. And then he came back to my office and wanted to know, how did I do it? I told him I loved them and showed them who they were, not what this crap that these tests that we give them off that are white people's tests show them who they are. But I showed them, gave them the information they needed to do. I bought books that had African information in it out of my own money and gave it to kids so that they could learn. And once they caught on to that, I ain't had no more sweat with them, because they knew what they could do. And that's what we have to do. That's not something some white man's gonna do. Well, I'll take that back. You do have a few white men who might do that, but it's our job to do it.
Yeah, you said that one thing that you took and gave the children the knowledge of the African part, and
all of it.
But now it's time to give the children this knowledge of this native part now, and what the knowledge
look,
that
I'm gonna stop that. I'm gonna stop that by saying this. Why don't we give them knowledge of all of it?
Yeah, knowledge of all what?
Everything.
Because you got to have knowledge of self first.
We already don't have that.
But you got to gain it.
But you can't take it and put it in one box, because it's the human experience.
I understand that part. I agree with that part. But
so if it's the human experience, teach them everything.
But if you go from the human experience outside the box, inside the box, from outside the box to inside the box, then you'll have a skewed point of view. Then you start hating yourself, right?
Well, let me ask you this. Will any of that reverse mass incarceration? Because right now, and I've shared this from the very start of this series, all of us are black men.
Yeah.
In America, we have 5% of the world's population, but 25% of the incarcerated people, despite all of the brilliant, clever comments. Mass incarceration is eating at our species. Black men make up 30% of America's prisons. Can any of this help reverse mass incarceration?
Well, I'm gonna put.
I think. Well, let me say something right quick.
I'm gonna put something else on the table.
I think that
what I'm gonna put on the table is this.
Can I get it one? I just want to. I'm gonna let you go. I think that King Randall in Albany, Georgia, the young brother King Randall, if collectively the people could get behind him and let him set up shop in a lot of these inner cities across the globe and use his method to what he's doing for the young brothers down there in his community, man, because none of those brothers go to jail. Once they get under King Randall's wing, they don't feed that prison pipeline that's been going on. But he's not. The media isn't projecting him enough, and he doesn't have enough support, so he's independent. But if it was a way where, because like he meant Dr. Umar even beat him out a couple of $1,000, with the fake stuff. But he's a young brother. I think King Randall about 25 years old.
I'm glad
this
you
brother
brought
here
this to the forefront. I'd never heard of the young man.
Yeah. Yes, if the community was behind him and we could fund him on a nationwide scale, then we can stop that what we are talking about right now.
Well, we got mass incarceration issues all over the country, and I would imagine we need 1 million King Randalls.
Well, let me say something about that, Donnie, because they talk about us being 30% of that criminal population. Who's the 70%? Because nobody ever goes there.
White men are the most incarcerated.
Who's committing the other 70?
Yeah, white males.
There we go. But we never go there. We always gonna make this problem be like it's our problem. Mm-hmm. We're dealing with a system that turns out people like that. And the only way to reverse that stuff is to get your kid out of that system. Mm. Because then we will be the ones that's dictating how these things happen and how they happen. We don't have this problem if we ain't in this system like this. Because we ain't have this kind of criminal nature coming out of Africa. We didn't have this kind of criminal nature. They didn't allow that stuff. I talked to these African folks going back centuries. Their men were responsible for raising their boys. And when those men became involved with those boys emulated those men. They didn't emulate those criminals. But anyway, that's a whole nother story, and I understand that. I'm an old man running my mouth. But I did programs that were successful. I did programs that reduced recidivism and all of that kind of stuff by just showing kids who they were. Yeah, and when we talk about who they were, I'm talking about who they individually were. And everybody needs an identification platform. That's why they keep dealing with us as like black and white, because there's no place called black and no place called white.
All right, Mr. Bellamy, I want you to set up this clip that we're about to see. You have a project coming out?
Yeah. It is. It's starting to get legs to it.
You want to tell us about it before we bring up the clip?
Well, okay. It is the promo, the beginning promo for a novel called The Brotherhood of the Silent Hand, which has to do with espionage, mystery, romance, that kind of stuff. The characters that are involved in leadership positions in that are black men, 2 of them at least.
Which book is this for you?
It's called it's called The Brotherhood of the Silent Hand. It is my first novel, but it's let's see, I think it was number 3. Yeah, number 3 of the books that I've written. I've written 6 books.
Okay, how old are you?
84.
Young man.
That's what I'm talking about. Yes, sir.
Here goes the clip, young man. I promised them we would show it.
Yes, sir.
Oh, snap.
Don't tell me you done messed up.
No. Yeah, it's beyond my pay grade, Mr. Bellamy.
Or
what's the name of it? It's got some. I thought I could bring it right up.
Well, brother. No, if you do it that way, it won't. Do words logos media.com.
I'm proud of that.
I got you.
Something tells me that's the page and not the promo.
That's it right there, right?
Yeah, but that's the page. That's the page that that Words Logos put up a
Is the
promo.
promo link on here?
Yeah, there it is, right there at the top. Oh, I see. That's not the one that I sent you. I sent you a different one. Look in the stuff that I sent you.
Yeah, I did. I attempted to load it. It would not load.
Oh. Well, this is basically like the
Mafia
opening.
Score. You like that promo there, man? Nonetheless.
Yeah, that's a good presentation. I like the website all in itself.
You said
all of that's AI. All that's AI.
Yeah, I was just about to ask you that.
Can you put the link in the chat for me? I can pull it up. Is it on your page?
I'm trying to think. Is it on my page? I don't think. Yeah, it is on my page. Yeah, I think it is on my page. But you know, everything I do on Facebook, Facebook hides because they don't like the stuff that I say.
You got some disrespectful people over here in this chat. They must don't know what this is. Come correct now.
I'm correct. Respect the game.
Yeah, I seen one person in the chat.
I can see it on your Facebook page.
Yeah, that we brought y'all over here and gave y'all jobs. Be thankful.
Yeah, we got rid of that person. That was that. Yeah, that had to be a racist.
I don't pay them attention. I don't give them my attention to crackers, man. I know they're doing what they're supposed to do, and I'm gonna do what I'm supposed to do. I never let them dictate nothing on me.
You know, without a false soldier never knows his strength.
Right.
Oh, that's absolutely the truth, and that's how your strength is measured by your enemies. You know, anytime they got to take a whole system to bring you down, a whole system.
I got it now. Ooh, so I got to take this out first. This technology is something else.
I know. Yeah, Words Logos Media is basically a startup, but it's a very talented group of people there. Some I know.
All right, here we go. Here we go, Mr. Bellamy. Here we go. 3, 2, bam. I guess it's supposed to have some music, some words, some sound. Oh, here we go.
Violence is a language, and war is the only one they understand.
Every mask I wear hides another sin.
Violence is a language, and war is the only one they understand.
Yes.
So one of the smart comments. Yes.
Thank you, brothers. What that is a montage of scenes from the book, some of the action scenes in the book.
Man, let me just commend you on a stellar job.
Yeah, that was
one of the comments in the chat was your age has nothing to do with it. Brother, I hope to get to be 80.
Yes, sir.
So to be the 83 and you producing like that, because Mafia Shakur, no, that guy, he is an artist. As a matter of fact, he did the promo for this show. And on that note, I just feel like we all need to hear that.
That was
I
great.
don't even know if people hear it. I got to share it. Here's Mafia's work. He did the music.
Doni Glover, here it go. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Welcome to the show. Peace, family. The shadow illuminates from the soul. Knowledge itself, you probably sitting on a pot of gold. Tell me in the chat, you think we from Africa? Really though? The wrong perspective will cloud your judgment. I mean, somebody could tell you somebody you wasn't. Pay more homage and less worship. You tired of being a pushover than be assertive. Politics just an old ancient secret circus. It get deeper the more you go in below the surface. You gotta learn to heal the trauma, be your own savior. My old earth gave me birth to God, one with nature. I'm an American Indian, fight for the rights of my native land. I'm an American Indian, fight for your rights, fight for your life. Eastern Shore, Mississippi, and down by the river. Black man, red skin, bunch of Indian givers. Real side of Shakur, prisoners of the war. Return of the matriarch, the return of the God. East side, muddy water, we indigenous tribes. Black Wall Street, I run a family business of mine. Straight out the gutter, word the mother, high chief on the rise. They read the Bible translation, but ain't reading the scribe. Keep it G, Cherokee, Gullah Geechee the gang. You know how it is, everybody got beef with the king. Turtle Island, we steppin', can't let them kill our connection. You know the mind and the tongue be the deadliest weapons. I'm an American Indian, fight for the rights of my native land. I'm an American Indian, fight for your rights, fight for your life. I am a real American, fight for the rights of my native land. I am a real American, fight for your rights, fight for your life. Doni Glover, here it go. Like, share, comment, subscribe.
Good word.
Right.
Hey man, I'm
Yeah.
glad.
I'm
I'm glad y'all didn't catch me pop locking. I was pop locking, man.
If I pop locked, they'd be carrying me to the hospital.
So how long did it take for them to make that that presentation for you there?
I don't know the full mechanics of it, but once they got locked in, it took maybe 3 days.
Oh man, that's a quick.
Once they got locked in, but you know they had to do a lot of stuff first.
All right, Mr. Bellamy, let me give you this question. You told me some time ago that I gotta pray for Donald Trump.
Hey, you know why you gotta pray for him? Because if you're gonna start hating on him or having negative feelings about him, that gets you. It don't do nothing to him. So my whole thing is this, and nobody has to agree with this. You know, I'm looking at love as the highest vibration that we can operate in.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I know it's very difficult for somebody to pray for somebody like that, but I keep going to the book. And what the book basically says is that he died for the world, which means all of the crummy crap that you see going on in it. To reach the love vibration so that you can pray for your enemy. That don't mean that you're going to let him be your enemy. This means you're going to pray for him in a way that will interfere with his ability to continue to be your enemy. I've done it. I've had success doing it. I've had people who hard blood hated my iron parts. And I just paid that no attention and start praying for them. And I can remember every single time, somewhere along the line, they started talking to me. I never had to say another word to them. They opened their mouth and started talking to me, and everything was cool after that. We got to be friends and the whole bit. So for me, it's self-preservation to pray for him, because he does some stuff, man. And if I let myself go, I could hate him all day long. And I'm not going to let myself get to that vibration. That's a drag down to me. I'm not going to allow that. So I pray for his heart and mind to change, because everything that's going to happen to a human being is happening in his heart anyway.
Okay. So, can I speak now?
We've been waiting on you all show, man. This is LFM, man. Why don't you
Okay.
stop playing? I ain't gonna be here all night. I got some things waiting for me.
Mr. Bellamy.
Yeah.
Okay. You had stated what was the most significant thing, which is love. Now, I agree 100% with that. As the panels, they know that's where I'm coming from. Now, but let's look at this love, right? Because we know if we write down on a piece of paper FIRE and we touch it, our finger is not going to get burned. Consequently, if we write down love on a piece of paper, we're not going to get any vibration. Okay, so we understand it's a concept. So going past the concept, we look at this and we say, well, why is it a concept? Because it's something that is unknown. Now, what I am suggesting is that in terms of when we're going back to the original problem, is that there were people who only could perceive love from the perspective of a romantic. Hence, Hollywood always proliferates the romantic connection about love. Okay, what you're talking about when at least this is what I got when you talked about your secret talent, your secret magic, your secret way is the way of love. Okay, so that love that you're speaking on is invisible. Okay, also, okay, religions teach us about all types of things, God, this, that, and the other, that are invisible. Now, originally, the original people got together throughout the world and did different rituals to connect with that invisible realm, right? So when you're trying to communicate, I personally feel that that's our greatest weapon is the love frequency. The question is how to access it, right? So if it's invisible, how, right? How are you going to access it? Well, the first thing you got to do is you got to access what? Silence that is completely around you all the time, right? Doesn't require your thinking at all, okay? What it does require is your ability to surrender to the ultimate truth, of which I call love. But you have to remember that it's not this, and that, and that, and that. Those are the expressions of it that you can do, right? Towards, like you were saying, towards your students, right? You wouldn't be able to define it, but you know that they felt it. And when they felt it, it opened up to you sharing your 80 years of divine experience and wisdom to share to them to cause magic in their life. And I applaud you for that. I applaud you for that. But I just want the audience to know what we're dealing with here. We're dealing with a frequency of love that a lot of other people, for whatever reason, you know, I mean, scientists can get into it, can't perceive that level. They can only perceive love as possession. I love her or whatever, right? But what you're pointing to is a love that's greater than that. Earlier, I was talking about the roach in the kitchen, because the roach shares life with you. Its movement is run by the same love that creates you and everything else. So we have to switch to a reverence for love to see that it's not weakness, it's actually our strength. When we bring that love into the world, that's when we can, the deficiency of the children is the lack of love and the ability to digest love. It's not limited to just sex or this romance or I conquered this woman or whatever. You're talking about a sacred love that's the highest thing on the planet that is, for whatever reason, has chosen us to bring that frequency into the world. So when I hear Mafia Shakur, I hear the love in it. Okay? I'm a musician. Yeah, I mean, I hear the beat and the that and the that and the that. But what I'm looking at is the invisible frequency that comes through that medium. And I just want the audience to take that seriously, because all of the other shit, okay, ain't done much. Okay? We've had stuff, like brother said, it's been taken away, or they bombed us, or they did this, or they gave us syphilis, or whatever. That was all to get us away from the love frequency that is our internal birthright. And when people are arguing the question of whether it's Africa or whether it's the Aboriginals or whether it's the Aboriginals in Australia or whatever, from my perspective, the whole planet was that frequency at one time, because it's a prerequisite for life. So if you see anything moving, crawling on the floor, whatever, the engine that moves that thing is love, and it's invisible. Okay? So religion, if religion has any purpose, it's to pull oneself. They say religion is to tie back to, right? To tie back to what? To tie back to the invisible, to tie back to the spiritual. Okay? Let us wake up that sleeping giant in the soul of us to do magic, because magic is what's needed. It's too horrible out here. It's too horrible out here. We have to go into that realm, humble ourselves, go into that realm. In all indigenous cultures, all Aboriginal cultures all over the planet, that's the one thing that they have in common. That they would take their medicines or do their rituals or do their drumming or whatever to what? To connect with the allies in the invisible world to shape their reality in this moment. Okay, so Donnie, that's my prayer and that's my answer. And I really respect this man, this man here.
This man's the general in our town.
For having the courage to put love on the table as an engine that we have yet to fully activate.
I agree. I'm sitting here with my phone getting ready to go boop. So if y'all see me disappear, it won't be because I left you. It's because this phone conked out.
All right, well, go ahead and hit us with prayer before you go.
Father, we're going to thank you for everything that happens today, because we're all on a path that you designed for us anyway. And we're going to walk it all the way, being everything that we are supposed to be in this life, because you gave us life to exhibit it to others and to bring others into a place of grace with you. I'm trying everything that I know to do that. And I know that these men are doing the same thing. So right now, oh God, let your hand be upon them to complete the journey that they have assigned themselves to through your grace. In Jesus' name, I say yea and amen.
I say.
Thank you.
Love you, Mr. Bellamy. All right, so you gonna hold that till next time, or you want to get it up there?
Okay. Well, no, I want us to peep out what Thomas Jefferson said about him trembling for his country when he felt that God's justice would not sleep forever.
Yeah.
And that considering numbers, nature, and natural means only a revolution of the wheel of fortune and exchange of situation is among possible events that it may become probable by supernatural interference. that the Almighty has no attribute which will side with them in such a contest. So now, if you break this down, when he's talking about numbers, you know, he's talking about our collectivity and nature, and the supernatural interferences of our ancestors, as well as the galactic confederation that's at play right now. So they know that once we wake up and unify, that their God doesn't have a attribute that will side with them, because they will be fighting a losing battle.
I just want to share some of these comments. Jackie, salute from Rebel. Big Mama's baby. Big Mama said, thank you, Elder. Dark Star said, and I gotta say, I like it. Love for our people will cause us to kick some butt as well. Brenda Bennett, agape love seeks the greatest good for all. Love is actions that nurture and help others to grow. Phila love is brotherly love. I think she's from Philly. I thought she's from Jersey, but throwing that little Philadelphia in there. Eros love is romantic love. And Planet Wells, I wanted you to see this one in particular. Can you see that?
Yeah. I love you too.
Yes, that's it.
Jackie's been an all-star tonight. Brenda, you're always there as always. Any final thoughts before we get out of here? We'll be back Tuesday at 9 p.m.
Oh man,
Thanks again, Mr. Bellamy.
Yeah.
Much respect, Mr. Bellamy.
Yeah, that's what I
much
wanted to say.
respect.
Yes, sir. I appreciate everything you already done, and your words, and your sharing your knowledge as well. And, you know, salute to the family.
Gentlemen, this is one of my best friends in life. Soldier. Helped do great things in our community, including helping people get jobs. Helped a lot of people get jobs. Helped a lot of people who came home. I told you where I live at, most people in the state, a majority of those people come back. So he works with those, he has worked with those vulnerable populations and has mentored a lot of leaders, people who went on to, become elected officials. But I love you all, man, and peace to the chat.
Peace.
Peace.
Peace.